Hello, everybody. This is August, and the NFL season is right on top of us. But before we get there, me and Simon Short are doing offensive lineman rankings. And basically, we took each position: left tackle, left guard, center, right tackle, right guard, and we came up with our top five. We didn't always agree, and that's fine. But we're sure excited that you're a part of it here tonight. This is the Box Score Network. Simon, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm awesome, Ben. Thank you so much for putting this together and getting these beautiful graphics together for us and coming back because we're both old. We both have children, and I had my calendar wrong last night. So you were waiting around to talk offensive line basically since last night. You haven't left your little cave there. And now I'm finally here, ready to go, ready to keep this rolling. I was watching a little Drew Dahlman film again just before this because what else
Yes.
do we do on a Saturday night? And I'm ready to go, man. Let's do this.
Yeah, absolutely. I did sit here for 24 hours straight. And during that time, I decided that seeing our faces once wasn't enough. So I put it on here twice, okay? So they can see our beautiful profiles and our straight on views as well.
As long as you didn't put my face on that graphic and then like do a mock podcast episode where you were trying to talk in my voice and predict what I was gonna say. Um, if you start doing that, man, we got to be done. We do this too much together.
All right, everybody watching, thank you so much for hopping on. We'll quit fooling around. We'll hop straight into right tackle. Not a whole lot of disagreement here, but a little bit that we'll get into. Your number five, my honorable mention, Rob Havenstein, still of the Rams.
Yeah, man, he's just rock steady. Smooth feet, good hands, strong, really good anchor. Another one of those just like kind of wall and seal guys in the run game. He can move a little bit, but he's most effective when he is just kind of asked to seal open a hole. Even if it's not wow, it's extremely useful. And still just kind of doing it. He's been the longest tenured guy on that Rams line for a little while. And he's still an effective player when he's healthy. So I still like Havenstein.
Havenstein would have been in my top five every single season for as longer than we've done this. And so it hurt my feelings a little bit, made me sad a little bit to leave him off, but I did. I can see that he's not quite what he used to be, 2 or 3 seasons ago, and so I did leave him off. The competition was pretty stout here. I had
Hmm.
a reasonably good list here of right tackles, including a couple of young guys that we already started tossing on here. Still love Rob Havenstein. He'll still have a very good season. He'll be very effective for them, but I just felt like he didn't quite have that edge that he used to have that allowed him to be a top five guy for me.
Yeah. And another guy
Number,
that was banged up last year, just 11 games for Havenstein, which was his
yeah,
fewest since 2019. And, he's 30, 32, 33, right. And actually just turned 33 this summer. So hopefully that's not a sign of things to come. Hopefully he can
right.
have a few more healthy years here.
1,000%. Number four on your list. Number five on mine. Brian O'Neill, right tackle for the Vikings.
It's pretty hard to not have Brian O'Neill and Rob Havenstein right next to each other, even though
Right.
very different builds, like very different play styles, just very have been in the same tier as each other pretty much their whole careers. O'Neill is that smaller, lighter tackle. He can move out in space really, really well, but also has really strong hands. Like he can really knock a guy backwards. So he has that really good combination, I think, of strength and speed. Um, and really just really balanced player. So despite, I mean, I think he's like 310 pounds, 313 pounds when he was coming out. Despite that, just a good anchor and good balance all the way around. And the strong hands really stand out the way he can get a punch out there. So I still really like Brian O'Neill.
You and me and Shane, a lot of other guys that kind of enjoy the offensive line, we appreciate Brian O'Neill, but outside of that little core group, outside of, the NFL people, O'Neill is one of the most unnoticed, underappreciated, not talked about kind of guys. It's like everybody understands who he is, and part of that's just his vanilla game. He's not gonna flash a lot necessarily, but he's just going to go out and do his job. He's going to win his battles more often than not, even against some stout competition. And goodness gracious, man, you talk about being a value there at tackle, and I'll never put him as one of the top 2 or 3 tackles at that spot. But boy, every year he's going to show up in the top five for me. So here he is, one more year, Brian O'Neill, number five me, for you. Another guy that we saw very very close on here, Joe Alt of the Chargers. This is one of the young guys that for me bumped
Oh yeah.
Havenstein off the list.
Gosh, there's a lot more square whites here at right tackle. Um, Joe Alt, so smooth and fast for his size, man. Like I remember watching his tape coming out and just thinking about this guy shouldn't move the way he does, especially being 6'8" and being in a 3-point stance and how fast he can get up from that and get on the move. Um, and there was no issue with translation to the NFL whatsoever. He looked just as strong, just as fast as he did in college, as he did in the NFL last year. Um, Pretty good with his hands already, but still a place for him to improve. And he does need to get stronger with his anchor in pass protection,
Right.
but he can get guys moving in the run game with no problem. And he holds up well still. We mentioned the Slater injury earlier. Joel's going to be playing left tackle this year for the Chargers. Trey Pipkins is going to be playing right tackle. So we'll see how he does. I assume he's going to be fine. He's one of those that when I'm scouting for the O line and I'm thinking if there's going to be a position change, if they're so clearly a plus plus athlete, I think that transition works out better than for most. And that was clearly Alt, so I don't think he'll have any issue with going back. It might halt if he's getting better necessarily, but I think he'll be just as good on the left side as he was on the right side last year. So, should be another really good year for Joe Alt and the Chargers.
I love Joe Alt. Absolutely love him. Now, his second to last year at Notre Dame, we were already hearing that this guy's just so talented. He's going to be a
Hmm.
top 5 draft pick, top 10, and just forget about it. Well, I turned on the tape of his second to last year at Notre Dame, and I wasn't impressed, which really, honestly, is where my love of pass protection comes in because I can see him getting beat a lot on the edge. It's like, Dad gummit, he's getting beat by Michigan, Michigan State, and who else does Notre Dame play? Ohio State edges. Then why would I just be top 5 lock? And I wasn't thrilled, but people kept saying, no, no, he's got that talent, he's there. And I'm like, okay, let's see what he does his final year. And his final year, you really could see it even more. And then he shows up in the NFL, and you could see it even more. And he's been brilliant. I say brilliant for how young he is and what the expectations were. I really like what he's done, and I see him only ever getting better. And while there might be some transition at the left tackle, I too think he'll be just fine with it. I really like Joe Alt. He could be, he could eventually be, not now, 2 or 3 years from now, he could be the best left tackle or right tackle in the game
Yeah,
if he develops. He's got that within him.
yeah, absolutely.
We flip flop number 1 and number 2. So here's your number 2 and my number 1. Panay Sewell, Detroit Lions.
Yeah, very fast hands on Penei Sewell. And I gave both these guys an A, by the way. I didn't give out many A's. I think um one, two, oh gosh, it might only be four. It might only be four A's or A pluses on my whole list here. And these two guys are two of them. Very fast hands, so balanced, so quick with his feet, really strong anchor, and one of the best in the league out in space. He's one of those guys that can get out in space and pick off the little guys. So that bumps him up for me in a big way. But he's just been everything you expected and everything you hoped for coming out. I think add something every single year as well. Just a really solid player with the balance and that high floor, but also that really high ceiling where he can get out in space and do some special stuff too. You can use him as an offensive weapon. You can build your offensive line around him and your whole scheme around him. And there's not many guys that you have been able to do that with over the years, and he's definitely one of them.
I love Panay Sewell. If I could pick, if you gave me my pick of say any 3 offensive linemen, he would probably be in that 3. Even though I don't necessarily, I don't know that he'd be number 1 at either tackle spot if you were to move him around or keep him at right. I just absolutely love his game. He fits everything that I would really want to do in a tackle. I absolutely love his game. He's a guy you could see coming from a mile off in college, and every year in the NFL, he's continued to deliver. I'm still not sure that we've absolutely seen the pure best of Panay Sewell. It's almost like he's so talented that I haven't necessarily seen that same. I want to be careful how I phrase this. He has worked on his game. He has gotten better. I still don't think he's maxed it out. I just don't. I think he could even do better. Maybe he never gets there, but this guy is brilliant. Your number 1, my number 2, Lane Johnson. Uh, Lane has obviously had a far better career than Panay Sewell. No dispute there. But Panay is the guy coming up. as at some point Lane starts to slide, right? Whenever that happens. So these are, there's some overlap there. Give me Panay Sewell. Give me Lane Johnson. I don't care. But Lane Johnson, you're number one.
Another guy that we flopped on. When we last did this, I wasn't the biggest Lane Johnson fan in the world.
Right.
I think maybe as he's gotten a little bit older and he's maybe lost some of that top end speed where he was doing the Panay Sewell and Tristan Wirf stuff.
Yeah.
I think he's gotten even a little bit stronger, and he's always been a really good technician. But I think his anchor is one of the best in the NFL now. And he's just always under control. He's always so smooth. Yes, he has the coaching. Yes, he has the good guys around him. But this guy, no matter who he played for, where, who he played around or who his coaches were, what team he was on, this guy would be one of the best, and he just continues to do it. So I still have him just that little bit ahead of Panay Sewell. But if you ask me on a different week, I might have a different answer. These guys are two very clearly at the top. And like I said, one
Right.
like of my four best guys, he's probably one of my top three offensive linemen in the whole league right now.
Yeah, and he deserves it. Completely agree. He's to me, he's in the Hall of Fame already. But if not, all he needs is another year or two to lock it in. I think he's already there. I think Joe Alt could track that way. He's got that potential. I think Panay Sewell could track that way. He's got that potential. Those guys just aren't there yet. Lane Johnson's already been there and left that and has even developed, has changed what he can do as he's not been quite as fast as you mentioned. His anchor has gotten better. This is a guy that has kind of, not completely redefined himself, but kind of somewhat redefined himself as he's gotten a little bit older. Can't say enough great things about Lane Johnson. I mean, my gosh, just the pinnacle of right tackle here. I think he would be good in any decade. I don't care which decade you drop him into. I think he'd be brilliant. My number three guy you honorable mentioned. This is a guy we flip flop. I say maybe you haven't moved on him, but I have. Okay, so Zach Tom, Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, Zach Tom, I think another guy for me that was one of those that was really impressive for what he was coming out. Being a mid-round pick, being undersized, was he a center in college? I don't even remember off the top of my head if he was.
I
I,
can't remember the college. Yeah,
I
I'm
know he
sorry.
wants to play center now. I know he's been one to do that. He doesn't want to be out there at tackle anymore because he's 6'3" and 350 pounds or whatever. But man, he is just so solid. And I just don't think I don't think he's ever like you said, I don't think I've come off of where I've been. I just don't think he's necessarily gotten any better. So it was like, wow, this mid-round pick who's small and should be an interior guy who's playing tackle for the Packers. That's really good. But I gave him a B. I think he's a sealer in the run game. He's not a huge mauler, not getting a lot of big push, but he has very good natural anchor. He uses his leverage really well of being underneath guys because he is a smaller tackle, but he uses it to his advantage. He figures out how to really get up under a guy's pads and keep him at bay. And just really strong hands. He's just a really solid guy that Green Bay gave the extension to. They're doing the like we're giving you tackle money, so stop asking us to play on the inside. You're playing tackle now, and that's just where he's going to be at for a little while here. Just a very very solid player.
Our audience has heard this story before, but I don't care. You when Zach Tom early on in his Green Bay career, I said, hey, he needs to be inside, and you're like, no, he's good at tackle, and he's been more than just fine at tackle. He's been tremendous, good enough for me to kick him in at number three. The talent wise, he will never touch the top two guys, and Joe Alt will zoom past him if Alt
Hmm.
keeps developing. Okay, but I can honestly look at his work so far over the past couple of seasons and say, yeah, this guy's really holding it down. And I've always loved Havenstein more than Zach Tom and always will. As far as where they are right now, I've got Tom just a shade ahead. And then I think Tom's just a little bit probably more talented than Brian O'Neill, although they're different games that they're playing. That's
Hmm.
just kind of where I'm at. This is probably the highest Zach Tom will ever get on this list for me. By even next year, he could disappear from the top five. But I really appreciate the work he's done out there at right tackle, and so this is where I put him for this year, even though this list will change a lot by next year.
Yeah, still a good player, but definitely a position with a lot of good young guys. I gave Darnell Wright and Talise Fuaga B pluses as well. So seeing Fuaga go back to his natural position, I'm really excited for it because he could take a big leap. He's a guy that switched positions and was unexpectedly really really good at being at left tackle. So going back home to right tackle, I'm excited for, and I've always liked Darnell Wright in Chicago. So those are two other long list honorable mentions to me, especially as you talk about some young guys.
Yeah, that's a great point. And one of the guy, just kind of watch list guy I did want to shout out would be the 49ers, Dominic Cooney over at right guard. I didn't get to him.
Mm-hmm.
Does not deserve to be top five at all. But you talk about a guy that just really popped for me during this past season that I did not expect to.
Yeah. Yep.
If you continue to see that, he will be in these top five lists, you know. So that was a
Oh
guy
yeah.
that we'll see. You know, again, was that a 1 year thing? You know, but anyway, this is the list, everybody. This is me and Simon's guys that made the list, made the cut. I'm sure if you're watching on a phone, it's probably a little small to see. Maybe you can zoom in. But Simon, on this particular list right here, anything else you want to mention about these guys?
As we were talking, man, you know how many of these guys came out in the 2021 class? Uh,
I didn't keep
Su
track. No,
Sewell, Humphrey, uh, Quinn Miners, I think Vera Tucker might have, Landon Dickerson. A lot of these guys were 2021, man. It's pretty great. I think Zach Tom was 2021. Um, Slater, I think might have been 2021. So yeah, man, great. 2021, crazy class for the offensive line. And the Steelers managed to draft Kendrick Green and Dan Moore Jr. So shout out. I'm not bitter.
no bitterness, no bitterness. No.
But that's it.
Which, by the way, for our audience looking ahead to next summer, that's probably where we'll go is the 2021 NFL redraft. And we're going to love it because apparently it's going to be full of offensive linemen to redraft in the top 5 or 10.
You want to hear us do this exact same show 1 year from now? We will draft 32 offensive linemen in a row. So be on the
Yes, we
lookout.
will. We'll invite Shane to come over and do it too. We
Podcast
have
will be
one more
five and a
thing
half
we wanted
hours.
to we have one more thing we wanted to talk about. We've mentioned our buddy Shane a couple of times now. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, something like that. Me and Simon and Shane Ratliff did a show, a 3 hour episode. It's a long one, okay, but it's worth listening to, especially if you're driving, driving a truck down the road or heading on vacation for a while. Just plug it in. It's worth a listen. We covered every offensive line in the NFL based on the information we had then, of course, a couple little bit of moves and injuries since then. But based on that information, we ranked every offensive line. These rankings that you see right here, number 3, 7, 12, that's where that came from, is that show that we did, the 3 hour, marathon, the saga of the offensive line. It is a beautiful piece of work. We really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. We didn't always see eye to eye, but that was the whole point of the show is, hey, what are we seeing here? So what we wanted to do tonight, though, as we wrapped it up, these are the 12 teams who didn't have a single offensive lineman mentioned in our top
Mm,
five. We may have honorable mentioned a couple as we went
yep.
through, but out of the top five, they didn't get anybody. In other words, we didn't look at these teams and see anybody who was really in that elite cream of the crop category, even though we saw guys we liked. We just didn't put them in the top five of their particular position group, right? So a couple things I wanted to note, and then I'll hand it over to Simon, is number one, you see all the red here. These are the offensive lines that pretty much suck, depending on viewpoint, that they just not good.
Mhm.
And so for those, you can obviously say, well, they don't have an elite offensive lineman, they don't have an elite tackle, an elite guard. So of course they're going to be bad, and that's easy to say. And I think that's true for those teams. I think that's part of the problem. But when you get over here to these teams here, we've got a lot more green, number sevens, number nine rankings, number 10. Got a lot more yellows, which is kind of that middle tier
Mhm.
group. And the point I wanted to pile on top of all this, even if you don't have an elite, kind of what everybody would consider elite or Pro Bowl level guy at any position group, you can still, if you want to, if you're focused on it, put together a very good or just competitive offensive line. And I feel like there are some teams doing that. Not a lot. It's not a lot. It's a short list. But there are teams doing that as well. And I think that shows some intelligence from some of these teams that, well, maybe if we're paying a lot of money, if we're drafting, maybe we didn't get the elite guys. We still have a good offensive line. So, Simon, I'll turn it over to you and go anywhere in direction you want to here. But that's the chart we're looking at here.
Yeah, specifically, I mean, looking at my own rankings there, the Buffalo Bills, I had it at number 3. That was the line I took in the position group draft.
Right.
Dion Dawkins is the closest guy to that for me. I gave him a B plus. I had him at the 7th overall left tackle.
Yeah.
And actually, Laramie Tunsil I have at number 6 there, and you can see the Washington Commanders there I had at 10. So there's a
Right.
couple guys just on the outside, but the Bills in particular, if you can create what your identity on the line is going to be, and you can stick to that, that's almost more valuable than having a Tristan Wirfs and then not knowing what you're doing as a group schematically or stylistically, because the five Bills offensive linemen are all just big, mean people pushers. Like they just want to bully you, and they might not be the most technically sound. Um, they might not be the best of feet, lightest of foot in pass protection. And it's not even necessarily that they're all like huge maulers and they're road grading and getting down the field on guys, but they're just five big, strong, smart dudes that don't get beat. And Deion Dawkins is like their epitome of that, and I think kind of broke into another tier last season. But if you can do that, if you can just figure out, hey, this is our identity, these are our five guys, they're gonna be really solid. Um, you can be really, really effective with your unit.
I agree. And again, our rankings aren't exactly the same. You can see it across the board here, but we liked the Bills' offensive line, and they do have good players. They just wasn't
Yeah.
cream of the crop elite. And again, that left tackle group is so stout and deep anyway. It's tough to kind of get in the top five at all there, even if you're good. The Panthers are paying a ton of money for that offensive line. There's nobody elite there, but boy, good
Mm-hmm.
across the board at
Yep.
almost every position. They offer something. The Commanders is starting to mix old with young, and they're on the upswing with that offensive line. We like them. We had them, ranked pretty good here. The Raiders hold, Colton Miller holding down the left tackle spot for a number of years. Never that elite guy, but very good plus side, not quite what he used to be. But we've mentioned a number of their interior players, and even though they're
Mm-hmm.
shuffling, it still feels like they're solid on the inside. And
Yeah.
even Arizona, Cleveland's getting old, of course, but Arizona's trying to do something there too, even though they haven't, hit on eliteness yet. I like their mix. I do feel like a lot of NFL teams just don't have a real great game plan for offensive line. I think they just get distracted, honestly. I think they probably in their heads, a lot of them, not all of them, not the Dolphins, they don't care, but I think a lot of NFL teams, it's like, yeah, we want to build a good offensive line. We want to have an identity. But boy, by the time you're drafting for so many different position groups and you're paying different guys, and that tackle that you drafted, thought was going to save the group, doesn't even hit at all. A lot of these teams just kind of are left scrambling at offensive line, it feels. They're like, okay, well, at least we got one guy. We got two guys. We'll figure it out. But I feel like you can, if you want to, build a real identity, whether it's, hey, let's be solid in pass blocking and solid in run blocking, or let's be a dominant run blocking team and we'll drop a tight end in on the pass block. And I feel like more of that could be done than what currently is. And I understand why, but it can be done here without the elite level players.
Yeah. No doubt.
All right, Simon, I've enjoyed it. Everybody, if you're still watching, thank you very much. All the millions and millions of fans who watch this, and the 300,000 of you that are still hanging on for the bitter end of this show. This is the Box Score Network. Simon, any final thoughts for everyone that I?
Just make sure you like this channel, like this video, subscribe to the channel. We got stuff going up on Box Score Network all the time. Make sure you're checking out Pro Football Enterprises. Maybe this will make its way over to that channel as well. That's Ben's other YouTube channel. And then all the pods here on Box Score Network. Make sure you go check them out. Apple, Spotify, mostly wherever you get your podcasts. We'll all be ramping up to the NFL season and NCAA football season as well. So make sure you're checking those out.
Enjoy the off season. It's almost done. The NFL season is almost here. Thank you, everybody. Have a great one. Goodbye.